Influencer marketing is a very common way, especially in social media advertising. But today we will have a deeper look into native advertising in combination with influencer marketing. Hi everyone, my name is Marcel Sattler. I'm the founder of PurpleBlack, a native advertising only agency. What we're doing on a daily basis is we run profitable performance marketing campaigns on native advertising traffic sources like Taboola, Outbrain, Gemini, and many, many more. The very common strategy in social media advertising is influencer marketing. Influencer marketing is very common, for example, for Instagram, for Facebook, for TikTok, and so on and so forth. TikTok, for example, has its own platform where you can work and cooperate with influencers directly. So influencer marketing is a more and more common way for a lot of brands out there. And the majority of them are using already influencer marketing very, very well. And today we will have a dig deep into the topic of native advertising in combination with influencer marketing, because this is a topic which are not many brands are currently using. So in general, native ads is a very underdog traffic source. Not a lot of people, not a lot of brands are using native ads. However, the niche of the niche is in this case definitely influencer marketing. And we have run a few influencer marketing campaigns in the past. And let me just clarify what I mean with influencers. With influencer marketing, there are two different kinds of what's working and what's not working on native. So first of all, it's important that the influencer is famous. So there are a lot of micro influencers and that kind of stuff. And they're usually working great on TikTok, on Instagram, etc. And also there on these social platforms, you have multiple ways how to cooperate with them. For example, you can use their reach and just tell them, hey, I want to have a video, say this and this, and use your account for that. And you pay money, or they will get a pushback or something like that. The other way around is they will record the video for you and you will use this, for example, for ads. These are the most common ways of influencer marketing in social ads. When we are now switching to native ads, it's not possible, for example, that they're using their own accounts, or at least it would make any sense. So the very common way is that the influencer will provide content to you and you're able and you're allowed to use it on native advertising traffic sources like, for example, Taboola and Outbrain. And for this, one super important part is extremely important. And that's the fact that the influencer or the star or whatever you will name it has to be famous. It doesn't make sense to work here with micro influencers, because instead of them, you can also use just UGC content from some random persons. And what I mean with some micro influencers, so a micro influencer is somebody just a few people know, and a huge star is somebody who almost everybody knows. And of course, it makes way more sense to work with someone who has a lot of reach, who everybody knows. And I know that's sometimes super expensive and also sometimes not possible. But here it's important. Before you're working with a micro influencer with almost no reach and who doesn't know anything, it's a better way to go or to work with UGC generators, with content generators who are providing you content, who are sending you the content exactly that way you want it, you need it, and you don't, or you have to pay them less. So therefore, that's the higher recommendation. And as mentioned already, influencer marketing just makes sense on native if they have a huge reach and if they're almost known by everybody out there. But if that's the case, so if you're cooperating with a huge influencer, you will have an immense boost on your ads. Not just the click-through rate, the CTR from the ads to the advertorial are crazy. But also if you write the advertorial in a correct way and use the star or the influencer here again in a correct way, and of course in an ethical way, you will also see way higher click-through rates from the advertorial to, for example, the sales page, and also for the whole conversion and for the whole funnel process here. And why is that? Because people love to see some stars, how they're losing weight, or for example, if they like this person, it's a very common way to trust them more than just a random person. And in general, we are very simple from our brain work. As soon as a high valued star will tell us this product helps me to lose 8 pounds in 7 weeks, it's more, or we're more likely to believe that if you compare it with a completely random person. And I know it doesn't make any sense, and maybe you're here different, but it's always important not to think about you as a person, but to think about what's the audience. So if this is a huge star in the audience, at the age of the audience, at the demographics from the audience, it makes sense to working here and cooperate directly with influencers. We all know influencer marketing is expensive, especially the more famous the star is here. And therefore my recommendation is definitely not to start with an influencer. You can use influencer to boost your brand, to push it, to scale it up. But in the very first step, and with the very first step I mean the first millions, you will generate through native advertising in sales and revenue. For these kind of steps, or for this kind of campaign status, you don't need any influencer. If you have them, for example, because if you're working with them or they're using or they're holding shares on your company, go for it. Try to use the brand, the personal brand from the influencer or from the star as good as possible. But if you don't have any cooperation here yet and you have to pay for everything, for every video, for every picture, then my recommendation is definitely to wait until you have a huge level and you want to scale it up. For example, from 7 figures to 8 figures per year, or something like this. Then it makes sense. But again, for the very first hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, you don't need any influencer. But if you have some, then definitely use them and work with them. Is it very common to work with influencers? Definitely not in native ads. And if you're wondering how an influencer corporation looks with a native advertising traffic source, then let's see here a few samples. So these are samples, and sometimes, or in the majority of the cases, you see stars, influencer, actors, and that kind of stuff of people, especially in arbitrage. For example, this is the 10 best beaches J-Lo loves, or something like this. So this is very, very common in arbitrage, but it's less common in performance marketing. In performance marketing, it's usually just the case if the people or if the influencers or the very, very big stars have some shares with the company, or they know one who knows one, and yeah, that kind of stuff. Let me explain you a little bit more about influencer marketing for native advertising, because it's a very important topic that you will find the right influencer, the right star to push your native advertising campaign into the right direction. So first thing of all is the audience. And of course, you know your audience better than usually everybody else. But it's also important that the influencer, the star, is someone who is known by the audience, because when we talk about native ads, you might notice that we are not able to use any kind of targeting. So we have a kind of targeting, of course, which is a demographic targeting. So we can target people in a country like the US. We can target different device types, and with the device types, we can also target a bit the age, because the rule of thumb is older people are using desktop devices, more younger people are using mobile devices and tablet. But however, it's not possible to target people very precisely. And for example, there's no really interest-based targeting. So first of all, it's super important that you choose someone who is famous for the audience or in the audience. So it must be a person that everybody or almost everybody knows in the audience. And sometimes it could be a person within a niche, and sometimes it's just a general person like an actor, actress who is famous for people in this age. And more important is a famous face instead of a famous name, because there are some people which face you just know, you don't know the name, but you know the face, and you know, okay, it's an actor, actress, whatever. And also the vice versa thing exists, that you just know the name, but don't even know or recognize the face. They can walk through you on the street and you will never recognize them. And here it's more important that they have a famous face, because a famous face you can use in the images, in the editorials. It's way more important to have a famous face here, or to use someone who has a famous face instead of a famous name. And last but not least, influencers should match the age. So for example, if your audience are young people or younger people, let's say somebody between 30 and 40, then it doesn't make sense to show a very old star. So, it's like
To give you a sample, when the audience are women between 30 and 40, it doesn't make sense to show someone like Jane Fonda or so, because she's way older. So therefore, the age should also, or the influencer's age should match with the age of the target audience. That's the first thing. The second thing is the funnel. And when we talk about funnel, then you might be familiar already that you have an ad, usually an advertorial, and then the sales page. And it's super crucial because I saw already some different types of influencer campaigns, and they just have the famous person on the advertorial. And I know you might say now, okay, it's common sense that you use the influencer at the ad image, in the ad image, and also on the advertorial. So you use it in both, on both placements. You use it in the images for the creatives, and you also use him or her for the advertorial. Optionally, you can also use the name in the headline. I would not recommend it by default, because with the name in the headline, you will make your headline extremely long, and it's in general better to have a shorter headline instead of a long headline. So long story short, when you have some pictures with an influencer, with a famous person, use those pictures in the images and also in the advertorials. And last but not least, which is always important to know, there are some positive boosters, especially on native. So for example, if someone was like Shark Tank, attended there, or is someone of the jury of Shark Tank, your campaign will have an extremely positive push. So if you can get someone who was there or known from Shark Tank or is a jury member of Shark Tank, it will explode in a positive way. And of course, also some other things like news articles and so on are working great, but Shark Tank is something which will boost your sales rapidly.
I hope you liked that video. If so, I would extremely appreciate if you give me a thumbs up, and of course, if you subscribe to my channel to receive updates when I upload a new video about native ads here on YouTube. Have a good one. See you next time.